hear that, men? They're laughing at us. Can't you hear them?
By Ulrich they are. Just like Hagendorf.
At Hagendorf we ran, and they tied the survivors to crosses outside the walls, flaying them alive. They laughed then too. We will not run this eve. Men of the Empire, you hear them? They're laughing at us! How about we go over there and give them a real jest? At the sound of the horn, we charge, head on! No mercy, no glory. Only victory or death! Cannons on their lines and giants. Spears on the mammoths. Cavalry, shake them up. Everyone else, no mercy on whomever comes your way. Fight! Fight for Nordland! Fight for France! Fight for the gods! Fight for bleeding Bretonia for all I care! Just come with me and fight! Now! Now sound the horn! With me now! With me!
You charge head-on towards the enemy. You make way for loose squadrons of lance riders on horseback, whose steeds gallop hard and fast towards the enemy to shock their front lines. The banner of Nordland held high by the head rider. No longer do the Norskans taunt and cheer. Throwing aside their victims from the city, you see them frantically making a shoddy shield wall to protect against the oncoming charge. You are starved and tired, but you are angry. Your blood is up and vengeance is on your mind. What are you fighting for, Nordlander? Whatever it is, it only powers your muscles and focuses your mind. Sprinting madly towards the enemy along with your comrades, screaming like a banshee, you see their front lines puncture. The shield wall incomplete as the horsemen regroup for another attack. Cannonballs and rocket fire showers overhead, puncturing the front lines. No more do they laugh. Now they are angry, and they too charge. Shield up, axe high, speeding headlong. Time to take back your home, for the crimes they have done unto you and those you love. Here they come. Brace yourself, Nordlander!
Place your faith in Sigmar to protect you. Place your trust in your Emperor to lead you. And put your strength in your sword to deliver you from those who would destroy your empire!
It's chaos. The thick of battle choking in a sea of bloody carnage. Victory or death. Another Norscan, blue shield, red hair, bare-chested. Let him come to you. He charges. You sidestep and lacerate the man's belly, his innards spilling out. Suddenly you are shield-bashed by a... Gods, what is that? It's large, hunched, dark-skinned and with one eye. Its head like a malformed reptile. You use your elbows to slide away from it. It lifts its great hammer. You frantically lift up your battered shield. It's shot in the eye by a rifleman behind you. The hands of comrades lift you up and you are pressed back into the melee storm. The Norskans are on the defensive and step back after some heavy fighting. They are forming a shield wall before you. Some wolf-clad berserkers roll out screeching. Riflemen shoot at exposed heads and feet, and pikemen jab where they can.
Hellstorm! Incoming!
The shield wall lies shattered. But still, you and the others falter for a renewed charge, a sea of savage, roaring men in furs or armors, led by a man in a black plate, wielding a serrated great sword, stands confidently before you. Suddenly you are shoved aside by a man in silver steel, Stobert, caked in mud and blood, his helmet gone, revealing a coif around his angry face.
Ah! You's waiting for Mordenlim or something? Get stuck in! With me!
The Chaos Warrior's jugular shatters as Stobert slashes his neck with the tip of his blade, the one exposure of his flesh between his armor and the helmet. He claws at his throat and kneels to the ground. Norskans stagger back and quickly try to reform another wall, but Stobert charges and rolls atop their shields, disappearing into a hurricane of steel.
Go, men, go! Follow your commander!
You put down a berserker with an axe to the back. You shiver in a frenzy of rage and panic. You jolt as a blast of fire from the skies obliterates a squad of Norskans to your left. As the world falls to chaos, you hear elated shouts that the west side of the city has been retaken, and rejoice resounds among your comrades. The Norskans are falling back step by step, and though you are all starved and tired, you all fight with strength and tenacity, stern pertinacity. Everyone surges forward on the offensive like a tidal wave, but you stay your ground. You take a moment in this madness to breathe, to think. The land around you is now just a litter ground of corpses, with only reserves and archers loosely walking 10 paces behind the infantry who press towards the barbican or scale the walls by Norscan siege equipment. What catches your attention is, to your right, a score of Nordland bowmen are loosing arrows at the top of the barbican and gatehouse.
Keep firing! Keep firing!
You bluntly ask through raggedy breaths who or what they are shooting at, for no one appears to be there. After asking again, one tells you.
Captain's field orders! Their leader and his pet druid are atop that wall. You'll see him soon. Leaders wearing green armor, druids wielding a stick throwing fire at us. There! There he is!
You look up from where they shoot, where, true enough, a robed figure dances atop the wall of the gatehouse, blasting the front lines with a terrifying blast of power, in the form of crushing darkness or blazing fire. The druid makes odd gestures, hefting his staff upwards to cast a spell. The bowmen, and yourself for that matter, begin to fall back as the druid begins another spell, no doubt annoyed of the constant volley of arrows.
Back! Back!
Cannonball strikes the barbican, rock shatters, and knocks the druid from his perch, flying him into the melee below.
Was wondering when the dwarf would start firing proper!
From above the shattered gatehouse, where below the fight is thickest, a lonesome figure in dark, shining armor appears glinting in the light, smooth and oily. He is looking down at the carnage, relaxed.
Stop cheering! Stop! It's him! The leader! Fight's not over, lads! Pace forward! Let's get the traitor! And you! Unless you're gonna pick up a bow, leave off and run back into the fray! You got your job, we got ours!
Back at the front, the Norskans are fighting for their lives, their backs on the walls. They fight with untethered rage. The moment you were pushed into the swarming ranks of your comrades, you were sucked into the storm of swords and screams. And now you are back in the world of pandemonium that reeks of blood, sweat, and urine. Stobert, somehow, is still alive. His armor is battered, his coif gored, his face so caked in muck and blood that if it weren't for his dragon-like roars and insults, you would not have known it was him. He was not as much on the offensive now. Instead, he barked orders, pacing between the lines, stabbing dying, trampled Norskans offhandedly as he did so. A violent push on your back sends you sprawling onto the ground atop a moaning, sickly Norscan who stinks of rot. Even so, you punch him repeatedly in the face until his eyes go slack, and you hear bone crack. You tilt your helm upwards and glance ahead. 5 paces ahead, a Cathayan sellsword is slashed at the chest. He kneels before he is slashed again at the neck. Beside you, a Nordland marine jabs his halberd at the exposed foot of a barbarian, making him growl and drop his shield. Arrows come flying down, punishing the Norscan, as well as other Norskans and Nordlanders alike. Large white wolves leap from above the Norskans and into your lines, hungrily savaging startled men with freakish speed. You scramble upwards and stumble backwards. It's an abattoir! And yet, you hear Stobert yelling how close the city is ours. You feel so weak. Yet now is not the time. An ice wolf savages a man's leg to your right, causing a reaction of battery from yourself and others nearby to kill the beast. You are knocked prone by a heavy force, your shield saving you from the jaws of an ice wolf that snarls behind. You punch the beast instinctively on the snout, but it ignores the blow and leans to bite your face off. Its jaws catch something. It's the rim of your kettle helmet. It yanks it off with its jaws and throws it away before looking down at you with savage blue eyes. A short sword slices through its head, and with a kick, it's shoved up. A swaying figure stands above you. Helga! Her shield, now a Norscan round shield. Her leather armor a torn mess. A horrible gash on her left eye, concealing it in blood. Her hair and face a mess of dried grime, tears, and blood.
Get up! Get up! It's you! Ugh. Suppose this makes us even now. Ugh. This is madness! We can't get through the portcullis. There's too many of them and... There's more giants in the city. Get down!
The gatehouse is destroyed! Move in, you donkeys! Over the walls! Through the breach!
Helga held you close to the ground as the cannon sent heavy debris scattering into the carnage, both of you using your shields to cover above. As footsteps began to trod over you, you both clambered up and found yourself in a crushing melee of grunting, groaning, tired men. Both Norscan and Nordlander. The battle raging on for hours now. Pain aches all over. Your chin on Helga's shoulder, and hers on yours, as you clamber for support. The air is hot with smoke, and your ears deaf to all but battle. And then a horn blasts. A horn blasts? Your horn? The horn of Nordland? A crescendo of cheers wafts across your ranks. Have we won? Have you gone mad? But no. Helga rolls her eyes about, also hearing the noise.
Hark! Hark! The gods are with us! Reinforcements are here! The 2nd Battalion! It's come! And they have ogres with them!
No bleeding wonder they're late! Did they stop for a meal at the moot or what? Over the walls and into the city!
You and Helga look at each other with silly, giddy faces. At last, the battle may end with victory in your hands. The castle will be yours, Nordlander. Both of you were too drunk with hope to realize the gatehouse, now a pile of rubble, had revealed in its place. Giants, now charging towards you. With freakish speed and freakish strength, the foremost giant comes thundering towards you, crushing even other Norscans in its rampage, its club set for an overhead slam. You roll away instinctively, whimpering in terror like a wingless fly about to be swatted. But Helga slips on a corpse, as do a few others. Her arms ache to get back up, and she looks to you for a hand. You crawl towards her to pull her back with you, only 3 paces away. Time slows as your brain tries to register what it had just seen. The giant had struck once, pummeling Helga's legs to mash, before slamming again to splatter her and the other 2 soldiers who'd not run away in time, into nothing more than viscera. Where had once been a comrade, a friend, was now a blot, staining a giant's club. It paces forward, toward you. You don't even move. From stark shock, hellstorm rockets shower overhead, blinding the giants, and a cannonball punctures right through the foremost giant's eye, and out the other side. It sways and flops backwards, crushing the scattering Norscans behind it. You lie there, on your side, your mind in a flurry of numbness. You can see the other two giants flailing madly as Nordlanders rush into the breach. You look to your left. A Nordland Marine with half a skull missing, still seemingly alive, lying on the ground, gurgling words and staring at you. You twist to your right. A shaking woman. No, a girl, no more than a teenager, in heavy soldier garb, sits in a ditch, swaying back and forth, eyes bloodshot from tears as she grasps the body of her father. The murder, the carnage, the despair and hopelessness. It empties your mind. You don't even hear the warning shouted by someone, somewhere, of cannons incoming. The impact of one lands 4 paces from you. The blast causing a shockwave of mud to fly into your face, knocking you into an instant blackness. You awaken with your limbs in agony, and a horrid cold prickling your skin. Your eyes awaken to see a white sky above a familiar landscape. Felled mammoths, broken banners, and a sea of dead men. The battle before Dieterschafen, and beyond that, the forests which hid your trench. You try to move, but realize you cannot, and an aching pain surges through your muscles as you look about you. You have been tied to a saltire cross, bound by metal at the wrists and ankles, your clothing and weapons stripped away, nothing but a loin cloth about you, your bruised, shivering skin prey to the northern winds. You look left and right. Running parallel to you are more crosses where Nordlanders have been placed. To your left there is silence, but you jolt to your right as a woman further down the line bursts out screeching in searing agony. Something cruel is being done to her. You swallow hard, and your heart begins racing. You try and force your bonds free, but you are too weak and tired. The screams go on until they wilt into a continual sob. The man to your right begins praying to more, to take his soul now. You are tempted to do the same.
Ulrich, why are they doing this to us? Why? They did the same in Hagendorf. It's a statement to the Empire. This country is theirs, and this is our place in their world for all to see. But what? What are they going to do to us? Carve us. I thought I'd die before I'd find myself on a post. More! Deliver me, oh more! Oh, more!
The day stretches on as your torturers come closer, cross by cross. Your body convulses into earth-shattering fear and wince with dread as you stare at the battlefield before you, tied up and freezing cold, your skin blotching blue. Is this happening? You were promised victory or death. Not this. Not slow torture. To be a Norscan's plaything. Your mind began counting the moments before it's your turn. Time freezes when the Tormentor, a lone figure with a shoddy tree stump in his hands, approached the closest person next to you. And now, it is your turn, Nordlander. The Norscan is a skinny, spindly thing with a long face and large yellow teeth. Middle-aged, pale, and with balding brown hair and serpent-like tattoos on his body. He wears a dirty, tattered dress that must have belonged to a noblewoman, her blood still staining the torso, and her peeled face hangs on a girdle by his waist. At his waist is also a variety of bloodied tools.
Okej, nu ska vi se vad vi har här.
Liten mjuk, vacker Nordlander, vet. Han vacker i... What shall I do to you? Mm-hmm? Oh, no. Look at me, a bear.
Your tormentor places his hands on your cheeks, forcing your head to look at his grotesque, grinning face. He reeks of the blood and vomit of others, his forearms and hands stained with blood, wet and stale.
You know, I was a tanner, but I always wanted to be an artist. I found Southerner skin is the best canvas to improve my art. You lot also make the best screams. Better than trolls, easier to work on too. But what to draw on you? Ah, I know. A serpent, a token of my patron. Yes? Would you like that? Yes, you would. Okay, what shall I use?
You retch a thin stream that dribbles down your naked chest, dread taking control of your entire body. As fear festers in your mind, your torturer is relaxed as he fiddles across his belt to find a stiletto knife, sharp as ice, and a small bone saw. He looks up at you with a nod of understanding.
Oh, your legs, of course. We are in need of new leather. I'm at heart still a tanner, but the Herald allows me to practice my hobby. A gift for France, yes.
He begins working on you, savoring your growing screams. You arch your chest outwards as you shake and writhe about, bound to the pole. He relishes it. He finds it comforting, humming as he carves off bits of your skin, bit by bit, always taking a moment to look at you as your eyes go upwards, and you groan in agony. Time passes beyond you, your arm and upper torso a red-hot mess of exposed skin and muscle. Sometimes he pokes his gnarled finger to incite more searing pain to shoot up you. Your cries for reprieve mingle with his own passions of exhilarations. It's been minutes, and you pray to the heavens to end it. Please! But he dangles more of your own thin flesh before you, speaking in his own tongue as he looks back at you with wide, searching eyes. He stops carving on you mid-torso. Your voice hoarse and hollow, your eyes and head finally drooping down as you gain a brief moment of respite, praying for the end. In the reddened darkness of your vision, you can see your tormentor has turned around to see 3 figures standing several feet behind him. 2 squat, broad-shouldered Norscans in battered steel and mammoth hide, armed with heavy weapons, flank a tall, lean figure in full plate mail, colored a glossy reflective emerald. This figure is opulent, with encrusted jewels and golden trims on his armor. His head is helmeted similarly, and round his neck is an imperial brooch that links a black cloak over his shoulders, and his bastard sword, a golden hilt, an emerald pommel, and a velvet red sheath. He walks slowly, looking up at the dying, maimed, or dead people like an inspector, his hands behind his back as the other 2 Norscans flank him. What's more is there is suddenly a repulsive, repugnant smell that makes you shiver. It's like urine and sweat mingled together, but the overlaying smell itself is something so odd, you cannot put a name to it. You cannot help but wrinkle your nose and nearly retch at the stench. Your tormentor rushes away from you, forgetting you entirely, and jumps off his stool to rush over to the trio, where he prostrates himself before the opulent man. The mockery replaced with devout supplication. Is this the leader of this madness? Your vision sags up at them as your head hangs low, together with the chill of the cold on your naked flesh and skin, and scorching pain. Your mind is unable to process much of the conversation, though you swear you heard Reichspiel from the opulent man. Your eyelids flutter shut, a red darkness taking you second by second. The world is about to close. Until you hear shouts. Something is going on. The men are looking southwards, and the opulent knight turns on his heel, quickly marching back towards the city gates with one of his guards. Your torturer makes a plea of some sort to the other guard and points emphatically up at you, but the other strikes him hard and drags him quickly with him, catching them up with the other two. Before your body shuts down, you look one last time at the white sky southwards. You see nothing emerge from the forest miles ahead, but above the trees are large, thin shapes. A sea of them, like a flock of birds, ascending from the horizon. Your eyes shut. Your breathing slows. Your nerves go numb. The last thing you hear is the sound of war horns blowing. It's warm, dark, and dry. Your eyes flicker open. Life comes back. You are alive, Nordlander. The sounds of distant conversation and rolling carts come softly to your ears. Your eyes adjust to a stony room with a roaring fireplace. To either side of you are beds, where men lay slumped with bandages and bedsheets about them. Priestesses of Shalia frequent the room, tending to the wounded, their bright robes to contrast the darkness about. Your torso and arms have been well bandaged, and you yourself lie sandwiched in soft furs atop a wooden bed. Life blinks back, and you sit up. The memories of the battle and its agonizing aftermath make you shudder. A young woman, pale, with black short hair, robes and hooded in white, approaches you. She informs you of your current situation. Luckily the wounds were superficial, and will heal, but you will be bedridden for a few more days until you are completely mobile. After changing your fur sheets, giving you a chamber pot and putting aside a warm oaty stew, she leaves to visit the next newly waking patient. You close your eyes and return to deep sleep. A week or so later, and you are up and about in the retaken city of Dieterschafen. Norscan bodies are placed in burning pyres, supervised by grim men in dark leathers. Military men, fresh from Salzamund, patrol the streets, with the more haunted, sullen warriors from the Coastal Defense Brigade and the gaunt Dieterschafen defenders, who skulk about the city with priests or survivors, who pry them for illness or lingering chaos respectively. There are also elves here. Wood elves from Lorelorn, standing out from the others in the city. Tall, fair in complexion and hair, who walk about with imperial commanders or talk amongst themselves. Their giant eagles soaring above the sky make you flinch, no matter how often you see them. But today, to your surprise, you received a message from one of the priestesses that a familiar name wants to talk with you at your earliest convenience. Sergeant Schmitt had also survived the battle and has requested to speak with you at his camp outside the city, along the coast. Dressed in a simple gambazon, baggy trousers, a cap, and torn boots, all of it concealed by a fur cloak about you, you make your way out the ruined outer city. It is a landfill of bodies out here. Mounds of the dead, mostly Norscan, blot the land like fleshy tumors. You see where you were once tied to. The post's still there. You spit in anger. No sign of the freak. You pray he did not survive. Walking along the coastline of the Sea of Claws is a graveyard of longships and more Norscans that had been shelled to shatters and bits. The horizon on the sea is shrouded in mist. Is that it, you wonder? Have they been defeated for good? Or is this just the beginning of the end of times for man? Imperials scout the beach on foot, whereas elves ride atop elks, scouting for their own injured fellows. A soldier points you to the gaggle of war tents further along. It's not long until after announcing your name and presence to a guard that you are escorted into a large blue square tent. Within, it is dark and warm, lighted only by candlelights atop a single desk littered with scrolls and maps, with 2 chairs on either side of the table. Weaponry and harnesses lay on the carpeted ground, and Schmitt stands up from his chair behind his desk, gesturing you to take it.
Please, warrior. Take a seat. You've more than earned it. How are you feeling now? Understandable, given the brutality we have endured. I can see you are still tired, so I will try to make what I have to say brief. But before that, you should know some things. The great Norscan army is routed. Dieterschafen, Neusemskrank, and Wilhelmskuk have been retaken. Hagendorf is all that remains. They are appointing me as new captain to oversee its capture. I might even be knighted. Yes, Stobert fell. I'll get to that in a moment. Now, you probably already know this, but we won the city, but not the battle. When the 2nd Battalion arrived, the walls were ours. The ballistas were operational. Morale grew. But we had been blind to the ambush that awaited us. The Norskans had summoned reinforcements of their own, blurred by fog, no doubt conjured by their pagan druids. Tens of longships came upon the shore, bringing hundreds of men and monster alike. We didn't stand a chance. Holt and I sounded for a retreat, but Stobert would have none of it. Not when he'd come so close after losing so much. When the commander fell before our eyes in the town square, we sounded the retreat and ran south, just like Hagendorf. And just like Hagendorf, the Northerners didn't give chase. They had won. By the time we found the 3rd Battalion, we survivors and they decided to march southeast and regroup with the main army from Saltenmund. We marched together with power renewed. The Norskans met us on the field, again, and this time they got punished. Man and elf obliterated their lines and streamed through the city and bombarded their ships. It was divine retribution, but at a heavy price. Their leader got away, however, which brings me to you. You, barely, survived the aftermath of the torture dealt unto you. It took a week for you to recover, but I needed you alive. I needed to speak with you. Are you familiar with a man in green armor? Describe all you can to me, if you would. I hear the reports from Norscan prisoners that he reeks a horrid yet unique stench. Can you confirm this? Good. Very good. He is the leader of the Norscan army, and the one who slew Stobert, after he and the leader duelled in the square. And rightly so, his Reichsspiel you heard was no imagining. He was once one of us for sure. His accent was ours, his armor looked ours. A Nordlander like you and me, but one who betrayed his emperor, gods and countrymen. Before the battle, Stobert informed me and a few other select men who to watch out for. I thought it was laughable at the time, given the description, but it seems both you and my eyes have corrected me. Make no mistake, I've seen him fight. He is formidable. Alas, I know not why this traitor has gone rogue to destroy everything we love. I was not privy to those details. I do not even know his name. But what I do know is he is never seen without his armor, and he has a horrid stench about him. Yes, very perceptive of you. I am using the present tense. When we won the 2nd battle, he was nowhere to be found. He is still alive, damn him. Out there. Here now. Officially, the Norscan army has been defeated. But unofficially, rumor spreads that this Green Knight does not lick his wounds in Norska, but instead is mustering another army, a greater army. Scouts report of dark vessels from the far west supplying weapons to the coastal tribes. Witch hunters have received confessions from spies of monstrous tribes further up the pole who are flocking to his banner. And even now we are suffering the mumbles of the end times across the north, and our fops for neighbours blame us for it. Excuse me, but I have not brought you here to vent. Outside my tent is a horse and a bag of gold that can get you to wherever you want, really. You were a volunteer after all, and you have done your part, suffered for it. I have no reason to demand of you anything. But you and I, Nordlander, you and I know what evil has been wrought already, and the devastation they will cause when he returns. And he will. He will. The War Council wants me to oversee the retaking of Hagendorf, but I say nay to that. I'm going up there, Nordlander, across the sea and into Norska, and I'm going to kill this traitor in his own home before he sends his dogs to pillage and kill once again. I'm tired of our culture, our nation, our very identity being under threat. Tired, I say. Aren't you? Make no mistake, should you accept, this will most likely be a suicide mission, and we may never return to the Empire if we do survive. I already have a Deadeye and an Arsonist who will be joining me on this quest. They are quite colourful beings. Both fought with us under Stobert. Both want this mongrel dead. So far you have shown yourself loyal, brave and resilient. A survivor, a warrior, a Nordlander. You would be welcome to join us, but I will not force your hand. Oh, and I found these. Your helm, axe and shield. You can always replace it with something else over there. But whether you ride with us to Norska, or make your way someplace else, make no mistake, Nordlander,